You know, the American dream seems to have died within a span of a decade. You know, maybe even 20 years to a decade. It seems like the American dream just was destroyed overnight. I remember learning in school, and I remember my parents telling me, and I remember friends also telling me about how, oh, everybody wants to come to America, everybody wants to live the American dream, and have this great life purpose, and trying to, try to make it in America. People would go to different cities, like the big cities. They go to New York and Los Angeles and whatnot, trying to figure out, how can they live this beautiful life that they see in the movies. But it seems like that has died in such a small period of time that now that we're in 2024, it's to the point where nobody wants to come here anymore. You know, there's so many people who used to want to come and try to make a name for themselves, make a life for themselves and their family, to be able to take care of one another. And that just completely evaporated. And a lot of people want to go back to their country, especially with the things that have happened in recent times. You know, there's so many individuals that feel as if America is just not that country anymore where people can thrive. Um, don't get me started on the Americans that want to leave, the expats, those that are looking at other opportunities. It's really interesting. I had a discussion with my coworker the other day, and we were talking about the rise of inflation, the rise of the cost of living, literally in every state. And we talk about how our job is, it's almost as if our job is like a gold mine because of the benefits that we get, and because of how many people we see struggling on the outside. And we try to figure out what it is, basically how these people are surviving, how everybody is able to cope and literally live paycheck to paycheck. Now, I'm not going to sit here and trash anybody, because everybody's trying to make their own way to survive. But it's like America is just, it's not livable anymore. It's like, don't get me wrong, there are some places that are livable, but those are the, I guess, quote unquote undesirable spots, and that people don't know about. And you have Americans that are looking at other countries. You have expats, they retire from their first job, or they'll make up enough money in their current job, and then they'll go and settle somewhere else, to a new country, use their American wages to survive in that country and live in that country. And for the vast majority, it seems to work out for them. America is, it's just not livable anymore. It's gone to the point where you basically have to work 2 to 3 jobs just to make ends meet, and even then you're still living paycheck to paycheck. You have no time for yourself, you're constantly working. And I think that is a part of the disconnect that people have in society, is you're working so much to the point where you're burnt out, you can't make ends meet, and whenever you do have time off, you're using that for yourself, or you're sleeping because you're tired and all. But the American dream, I remember, I remember because I have friends from other countries who would always talk to me and say, man, you're lucky that you get to live in America, you're lucky that you get to be over there, and you live this beautiful lifestyle. And everybody in America, they genuinely thought that all Americans lived like the movies, and I had to explain to them, like, no, that's not it. The majority of people are struggling out here. A lot of people are are struggling, and it's hard to make ends meet out here, but that's their experience. They've never experienced that, and they've never been out here, so it's difficult to for them to grasp that America is not that country that it was like half a century ago, where people could come over here and make a living. We don't know what's going to happen with this country in the future, but as far as I see it, this country has gone downhill exponentially. So, exponentially, very, just almost overnight, you know? You look at how things have changed within the past decade, I can say, and you see the rise in the cost of living, the rise in inflation, the rise in everything, in taxes, gas prices, you name it. And it's to the point where it's either you work two or three jobs, or like there's no a single income. You can't survive off of a single income anymore out here. It's sad, really. It's really sad. And I look at I look at things from a perspective of, you have to get all your ducks in a row. You basically have to be in the upper middle class to live comfortably out here in the US. Now, are there those exceptions where, there are people who are living just fine, and however they're living? Yeah, of course. But, like I said, we're going to see when this election comes up, we're going to see what happens, and I can only imagine chaos. Now, me personally, I think that this country has gone downhill very quickly. 2020, you would think that something like 2020 was a wake up call for not just Americans, but the world in general. And although I'm not too familiar with what's going on with other countries in the rest of the world, I'm sure that they're doing somewhat of a decent job at trying to make sure that catastrophe, so that trying to make sure that there are they're prepared, for if something like that happens again. And mark my words, it doesn't take a rocket scientist, but something like that is bound to happen again. And you would think that 2020 was a wake up call for a lot of people. I'm specifically talking about America now, but you would think that it was a wake up call for Americans, but it's right back to the distractions. It's right back to the just forgetting about anything that we've learned in 2020, and now we're just back to square one. Distraction after distraction, things happening, nobody paying attention to the bigger picture. And it's going to be even worse than 2020 when this next pandemic or this next catastrophe happens. I just believe that America has gone completely downhill to the point of no return. And unless you have all of your ducks in a row, you're going to be worse off than you were in 2020. So I believe that everybody should prepare now. If you have an out, you need to take that out. You need to focus on you and those that you care about. You need to focus on your family. And you need to figure out a way to get out of this country before things happen. I mean, Election Day is on Tuesday. Today's Saturday, November 2nd. Election Day is November 5th. We already know something crazy is going to happen regardless of who wins. So, you have to prepare. You just have to be prepared. Take care of yourself and focus on the things that are important to you.